The morning sun painted the glass towers of downtown Calgary in shades of gold and amber. 17-year-old Maya Christopher adjusted her red delivery jacket and checked her phone one more time. Another day, another dozen orders to deliver across the concrete maze she'd come to know by heart. Maya had been delivering food for Fresh Bites for 8 months now. What started as a way to save money for college had become something else entirely, something she couldn't quite put into words yet. She pulled out a small, worn notebook from her jacket pocket. The cover was faded blue, edges soft from constant handling. Inside, page after page was filled with her neat handwriting, but these weren't delivery notes or addresses. These were observations, stories, lives glimpsed through doorways and brief conversations. Mrs. Patterson, apartment 4B, she had written 3 weeks ago, always orders soup on Tuesdays, never answers the door herself anymore. Her son Nathan does. He looks tired, really tired. I think she's sick. Maya flipped through more pages as she walked her electric bike down 8th Avenue. The Johnson family, Unit 12A, 3 kids, the oldest girl, maybe 10, always answers. She counts the change twice, always asks if I have any extra napkins. I started bringing extra everything. Each entry was a window into someone's world. Maya had discovered she had a gift for noticing things others missed. The way Mrs. Kim's hands shook when she signed for her order, how Mr. Rodriguez always ordered enough food for 2, but only 1 person ever came to the door. The silence that came from apartment 7F, a silence so heavy, it felt like sadness itself. Her first delivery of the day was to the Riverside Towers, a 30-story building that housed hundreds of stories Maya was only beginning to understand. As she rode the elevator to the 15th floor, she wondered about the woman who lived in 15C, Evelyn Martinez. Always ordered the same thing: chicken Caesar salad, no croutons, extra dressing on the side. But Maya had noticed something troubling in her recent notes. October 8th. Evelyn answered in pajamas at 2 p.m. Eyes red. Apartment smells like she hasn't opened windows in days. October 12th. Ordered food but only ate half. Could hear crying through the door after I left. October 15th. Didn't answer right away. When she did, she looked like she hadn't slept. Forgot to tip, which isn't like her. Something's wrong. Maya knocked gently on the door of 15C. Fresh Bites delivery. The door opened slowly, revealing a woman in her 30s with dark circles under her eyes. Evelyn Martinez looked fragile, like she might break if the wind blew too hard. "Thank you," Evelyn whispered, taking the bag with hands that trembled slightly. "Have a good day," Maya said softly, but she lingered for just a moment longer than usual. Sometimes people needed to know someone cared enough to wait. Evelyn looked up, surprised by the kindness in the young girl's voice. For a brief second, their eyes met, and Maya saw something that made her heart ache. A loneliness so deep it seemed to have no bottom. As Maya walked back to the elevator, she pulled out her notebook and wrote, October 20th, Evelyn is disappearing, not physically, but inside. She's fading away, and I don't think anyone else sees it. That night, Maya sat in her small bedroom in the apartment she shared with her mom and younger brother. The notebook lay open on her desk, and she stared at the page about Evelyn for a long time. Her mom, Lynn, knocked softly and peeked in. "How was work today, sweetie?" "Mom?" Maya said without looking up. What do you do when you see someone drowning, but you're not sure they want to be saved? Lynn sat on the edge of the bed, studying her daughter's thoughtful face. That's a heavy question for someone so young. I deliver food to all these people, Maya continued, and sometimes I feel like I'm delivering more than just meals. I'm delivering the only human contact some of them get all day. And that worries you? Maya nodded. There's this woman, Evelyn. She's disappearing, and I don't know how to help her without crossing a line. Lynn was quiet for a moment. You know, your grandmother used to say that sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest ripples. Maybe the line isn't about what you do, but how you do it. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Evelyn's eyes, about the weight of silence in that apartment, about all the people in those towers who were slowly disappearing while the world rushed past their windows. She got up and wrote her first anonymous note. You matter, even if no one says it. Maya's hands shook slightly as she slipped the small white card under Evelyn's door. It was 1:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and she knew Evelyn would be home. Evelyn was always home now. The card was simple, just a piece of cardstock she'd cut from a larger sheet with her careful handwriting in blue ink. You matter, even if no one says it. As she walked away from apartment 15C, Maya felt something she'd never experienced before. It was part terror, part hope, and entirely new. She'd crossed an invisible line, moved from observer to participant in someone else's story. 3 buildings and 5 deliveries later, Maya found herself outside the Johnson family's apartment in the Eastview complex. When 10-year-old Emma Johnson opened the door, Maya noticed the girl's school uniform was wrinkled and her shoelaces were untied. Hi, Emma, Maya said gently. Where's your mom today? Emma's face brightened at being remembered by name. Mom's at her second job. She won't be home until after I'm asleep. Maya looked past Emma into the apartment. 8-year-old twins sat at a small table, attempting homework with broken crayons. The apartment smelled like instant noodles and loneliness. Emma, Maya said, reaching into her delivery bag. I accidentally grabbed extra cookies from the restaurant. Would you and your brothers like them? It wasn't true, but it wasn't entirely a lie either. Maya had started buying extra food with her own money, just in case. Emma's eyes went wide. Really? Are you sure? I'm sure. And Emma, Maya pulled out another small card. This is for your mom. Don't read it, okay? Just make sure she gets it. The card read, Single mothers are superheroes in disguise. Thank you for raising such a kind daughter. As she continued her route, Maya began to see her delivery bag differently. It wasn't just carrying food anymore. It was carrying hope, one small act at a time. Her next stop was Pinnacle Heights, where Mr. Rodriguez lived alone in a corner unit on the 8th floor. Maya had been puzzling over his orders for weeks. He always ordered dinner for 2, different entrees, 2 sets of utensils, 2 drinks, but only one person ever came to the door. When Mr. Rodriguez answered, Maya noticed the dining table behind him was set for 2 people. One setting had been used, the other remained untouched. Thank you, Maya, he said, and she was surprised he knew her name. Mr. Rodriguez, I hope you and your dinner companion enjoy the meal. His face crumpled slightly. My wife, Elena, passed away 6 months ago. 42 years of marriage, and I still set her place at the table, still order her favorite foods. The counselor says it's part of grieving, but I think I'm just not ready to eat alone. Maya felt her heart break and heal simultaneously. Mr. Rodriguez,
Would you like me to stay for just a minute? Sometimes it helps to have someone to talk to. For the next 10 minutes, Maya sat in Mr. Rodriguez's living room while he showed her photos of Elena. He told her about their first date, their wedding, the dreams they'd shared. When Maya finally left, she slipped a card under his door. Love doesn't end with goodbye. Elena would want you to find joy again, even if it starts with eating alone. By evening, Maya had left 7 notes. Mrs. Patterson received, "Caregiving is the hardest job in the world. You're stronger than you know." The elderly man in 3A, who never spoke, got, "Your smile brightens my whole day." The college student who always looked exhausted found, "You're working so hard for your future. Someone believes in you." That night, Maya's notebook entry was different. Instead of just observations, she wrote, "Today I stopped watching and started acting. I don't know if it will help, but I know I had to try." 3 days later, Maya knocked on Evelyn's door with another delivery. When Evelyn opened it, Maya noticed something different. Evelyn's hair was brushed. She was wearing clean clothes, and most importantly, she was standing up straighter. "Thank you," Evelyn said, taking the delivery bag. Then quietly she added, "And thank you for the note. I needed to hear that." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "I hope you have a good day, Evelyn." "You too," Evelyn replied, and for the first time in weeks, she almost smiled. That evening, Maya started a new section in her notebook with notes given with a simple tracking system. Evelyn Martinez, Note 1, October 20th, response, positive. But she had no idea that her small act of kindness was about to set in motion something much larger than she could imagine. 2 weeks later, Evelyn Martinez would write her own note, and 6 months after that, she would save someone else's life with the same 4 words Maya had given her. "You matter, even if no one says it." But Maya didn't know any of that yet. All she knew was that tomorrow she had more deliveries to make and more people to see. And maybe, just maybe, she'd have another small card to slip under someone's door.
Maya's notebook had grown thick with stories. 3 months of notes, and she'd given out 47 cards, some to regular customers, others to people she'd only seen once but couldn't forget. The responses varied. Some people never acknowledged the notes at all. Others, like Evelyn, seemed to slowly come back to life. And then there were the surprises. Mrs. Patterson's son, Nathan, had started answering the door with genuine smiles instead of tired nods. Emma Johnson's mother left a $5 tip with a note. "Thank you for the cookies and the kind words. You remind me that good people still exist." But it was the call from Mr. Rodriguez that changed everything. Maya was between deliveries, sitting on a bench in Princess Island Park, when her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Maya? This is Carlos Rodriguez. You deliver food to me?" "Mr. Rodriguez? How did you get my number?" "I called Fresh Bites, told them I needed to thank one of their delivery girls personally. They weren't supposed to give it to me, but I can be very persistent when it matters." Maya felt a flutter of worry. "Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong?" Carlos laughed, and it was the first time Maya had heard him sound truly happy. "Wrong? Maya, you saved my life. I don't understand." "That note you left me about Elena wanting me to find joy again, I read it every day for 2 weeks, and then yesterday, I did something I haven't done in 6 months. I went to our favorite restaurant and ordered just one meal. For me." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. How did it feel? Terrifying, but also freeing. And Maya, there's something else. At the restaurant, I met someone, a widow named Patricia, who was eating alone too.
We talked for 2 hours. That's wonderful, Mr. Rodriguez. Carlos, please. And Maya, I want you to know something. Patricia has been leaving anonymous notes for people too. She started months ago after someone slipped a card under her door that said she mattered. Maya's breath caught. What did you say? She got a note that said, "You matter, even if no one says it." She said it saved her life. She was planning to, she was in a very dark place. But that note made her realize someone out there cared enough to notice her. Maya's hands were shaking now. Carlos, where does Patricia live? Downtown, in one of the towers. Why? But Maya already knew. Evelyn Martinez. Evelyn had received her first note 3 months ago, and now Evelyn was saving other people. I have to go, Maya whispered. Wait, Maya, I called because Patricia wants to meet you. She wants to thank the person who started this chain of kindness. I don't think that's a good idea. The notes are supposed to be anonymous. She knows that. She wants to meet the angel who's been helping people. She says she has something important to tell you. Maya stared at the Bow River flowing past, thinking about ripples spreading across still water. One note had led to Evelyn's recovery. Evelyn's recovery had led to her helping Patricia. Patricia was now helping others. How many people had been touched by that first simple message? What's her number? Maya asked quietly. 3 days later, Maya found herself in the lobby of Riverside Towers, holding a slip of paper with Patricia's apartment number. But instead of going up, she was waiting. At exactly 3 p.m., as arranged, a woman in her 50s approached her. Patricia Williams had kind eyes and the sort of smile that suggested she'd learned to find happiness after great sadness. "You must be Maya," Patricia said gently. "How did you know?" "You look exactly like someone who would write anonymous notes to strangers, young, caring, and slightly terrified of being caught doing good deeds." Maya laughed despite her nerves. "Is it that obvious?" "To someone who's been saved by kindness, yes." Patricia sat beside her on the lobby couch. "Maya, I need to tell you something. That note you left me, I wasn't supposed to be alive to read it." Maya's stomach clenched. "I had planned to end things. That night, I had everything ready, but then I found your note, and I thought, someone out there thinks I matter. Maybe I should wait one more day to see if they're right." Tears were flowing down Maya's cheeks now. 1 day became 2, 2 became a week, and now here we are 3 months later, and I've left notes for 15 different people. One of them, a man named James, called me yesterday. He said my note made him decide not to give up on his job search. He starts work next Monday. Patricia pulled out her own notebook, smaller than Maya's, but filled with the same kind of careful observations and caring notes. "Maya, you didn't just save my life. You started something. A web of kindness that's spreading through this city in ways you can't even imagine." Maya looked around the lobby, thinking about all the apartments above them, all the lives behind those windows. How many people do you think we've reached? "I don't know, but I want to show you something." Patricia opened her notebook to a page near the back. It was a list of names and numbers. "These are people who've called me after receiving notes. Some want to thank me, others want to help. Maya, there are 12 people now leaving anonymous notes around the city, all because you decided to tell one lonely woman that she mattered." Maya stared at the list, overwhelmed. 12 people. How many notes was that? How many lives touched? "There's something else," Patricia continued. "Next week, I'm meeting with a woman named Dr. Jennifer Kim. She's a psychologist who received one of James's notes. She wants to study what we're doing. She thinks it could be turned into a real program to help people." Maya's head was spinning. "This is getting so big." "Yes, it is. And Maya, you need to decide something. Do you want to keep being anonymous, or do you want to help us make this bigger?" Maya looked out through the lobby windows at downtown Calgary, at the thousands of people walking past, each carrying their own invisible burdens. "I need time to think," she said finally. Patricia nodded. "Take all the time you need. But Maya, remember this. You've already changed the world. The question now is, how much more do you want to change it?" That night, Maya wrote in her notebook, "I started with one note. Now there are 12 people leaving notes. Where does it end? Where should it end? And what happens when something anonymous becomes something bigger?" She didn't know that in 1 week, she'd receive a phone call that would answer all those questions and change her life forever.
Maya had been carrying Patricia's phone number for a week, but she hadn't called. Every time she pulled out her phone, she hesitated. Part of her wanted to keep the notes small, personal, anonymous. But another part of her was curious about how far the ripples had spread. The decision was made for her on a snowy Thursday morning in November. Maya was delivering to a new customer in the Beltline district when she saw something that stopped her cold. Taped to the entrance of the apartment building was a small handwritten sign. "Random acts of kindness happening here. If you need encouragement, check the community board." Below the sign was a cork board covered in small anonymous notes. "You're stronger than you think. Someone believes in your dreams. You matter to this community." Maya stared at the board, recognizing the handwriting style she'd started months ago. But these weren't her notes. These were from people she'd never met, inspired by people she'd only met once. She took a photo and sent it to Patricia with a message. "Is this part of our network?" Patricia called within minutes. "Maya, where are you? I need to show you something amazing." An hour later, Maya found herself in Patricia's apartment, surrounded by what looked like a war room for kindness. Charts covered the walls, showing connections between different note leavers across the city. There were photos of note boards like the one Maya had found, maps with red pins marking locations where anonymous notes had been spotted, and a thick binder full of letters from people who've been helped. "Patricia, what is all this?" "This is what we've built, Maya. In 4 months, we've gone from one person leaving notes to over 50 people across Calgary. Look at this." Patricia pointed to a large map of the city covered in colored pins. Red pins are active note leavers. Blue pins are known recipients who've reached out to us. Green pins are public note boards or community kindness projects that have started because of our network. Maya counted quickly. There were dozens of pins. "How did you track all this?" Dr. Jennifer Kim, remember the psychologist I mentioned? She's been helping me document everything. Maya, what you started has become a movement. Patricia pulled out a thick folder. "These are letters from people who've been helped. Would you like to read a few?" Maya nodded, still overwhelmed by the scope of what she was seeing. The first letter was from a college student named Ahmed. "I was failing my classes and ready to drop out. Then I found a note in my textbook at the library that said, 'Your education is a gift to the world.' I don't know who left it, but it reminded me why I started studying engineering. I changed my study habits, got help from tutors, and now I'm on the dean's list." The second was from Maria, a recent immigrant. "I was feeling so alone in this new country. English is hard for me and I didn't have friends. Then someone left a note on my car windshield that said, 'Your courage to start over inspires everyone around you.' I started going to English conversation groups and now I have a community." Maya read letter after letter, each one describing how a small anonymous note had changed someone's trajectory. By the time she finished, she was crying. "Maya," Patricia said gently, "Dr. Kim wants to meet with you. She thinks what we're doing could be studied, refined, and scaled up to help cities across Canada." Scaled up? Patricia, these are just notes, simple personal notes. That's exactly why they work. But imagine if we could train people to leave better notes, more effective ones. Imagine if we could target people who really need help. Imagine if this became a real program. Maya walked to the window and looked out at the city.
Somewhere out there, 50 people were leaving notes for strangers. Somewhere out there, hundreds of people were finding small pieces of hope in their darkest moments. What would it mean if I met with Dr. Kim? It would mean you'd have to stop being anonymous, at least to some people. It would mean this becomes bigger than just you, bigger than just us. Maya thought about Evelyn Martinez, who'd gone from barely living to helping others. She thought about Mr. Rodriguez, who'd found the courage to eat alone and discovered he didn't have to. She thought about all the letters from people she'd never met, whose lives had been touched by something that started with one simple note. Patricia, can I ask you something? Of course. That night when you got my note, when you were planning to, how close were you? Patricia was quiet for a long moment. I had the bottle of pills in my hand, Maya. Your note was literally the last thing I saw before I was going to take them. If you'd been 5 minutes later leaving that note, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Maya felt the weight of that truth settle over her. 5 minutes. The difference between life and death had been 5 minutes and a small piece of cardstock. Okay, Maya said quietly. I'll meet with Dr. Kim. Really? Really. But Patricia, I want to keep doing my own notes too. The personal ones, the spontaneous ones. That can't get lost in whatever this becomes. Patricia smiled. That's exactly what Dr. Kim hoped you'd say. 3 days later, Maya found herself in Dr. Kim's office at the University of Calgary. Dr. Kim was younger than Maya had expected, probably in her 30s with kind eyes and the sort of energy that suggested she was passionate about her work. Maya, I've been studying the psychological impact of unexpected kindness for 5 years. What you accidentally created is one of the most effective peer support networks I've ever seen. I didn't create anything on purpose. I just saw people who needed to know someone cared. Exactly. And that authenticity is why it works. Maya, I've been documenting the outcomes of your network. Depression rates among known recipients have dropped by 40%. Anxiety levels have decreased significantly. 3 people have told us your notes prevented suicide attempts. Maya felt dizzy. 3 people? Including Patricia. Maya, you've created something that professional therapists struggle to achieve. A way to reach people at their lowest moments with exactly the right message at exactly the right time. Dr. Kim pulled out a proposal. I want to expand this. Train volunteers, create better tracking systems, partner with community organizations. We could reach thousands of people instead of hundreds. Maya stared at the proposal. It was professional, organized, and somehow both exciting and terrifying. What would my role be? Whatever you want it to be. You could stay completely anonymous and just advise us, or you could help us train new volunteers, or you could be the face of the program. I'm 17 years old, and you've saved more lives in 4 months than most trained counselors do in a year. Age doesn't matter when you have a gift for seeing people who are invisible to everyone else. Maya thought about her notebook, now filled with over 200 stories. She thought about the boy who'd stopped cutting himself after finding a note that said, "Your scars tell a story of survival, not failure." She thought about the elderly woman who'd started volunteering at a food bank after receiving a note that said, "Your wisdom is needed in this world." Dr. Kim, can I keep my delivery route? Of course. And can I keep leaving my own notes, the spontaneous ones? We wouldn't want you to stop. And the people I'm already connected to, like Patricia and Mr. Rodriguez, they can stay part of this too. They're the heart of it. Without their original network, none of this would work. Maya looked out the window at the campus at young people her age walking between classes, each carrying their own invisible struggles. Okay, she said, let's make it bigger. That night, Maya wrote in her notebook, "Today, I stopped being anonymous. Tomorrow, we start changing the world on purpose instead of by accident. I'm scared and excited and grateful all at once." She had no idea that her phone was about to ring, with the call that would show her just how far her ripples had already traveled. Maya's phone rang at 8:47 p.m. on a Sunday night. She almost didn't answer. It was an unknown number, and she was tired from a long day of deliveries and planning sessions with Dr. Kim's team. But something made her pick up. "Hello? Is this Maya Christopher?" The voice was soft, nervous, with a slight accent Maya couldn't place. "Yes? Who is this?" "My name is Elena Rodriguez. I think you knew my husband." Maya's heart stopped. "Elena? But Carlos said you passed away." There was a long pause, then a sound that might have been crying. "I didn't die, Maya. I left. 6 months ago, I left my husband and my life because I couldn't see any other way out." Maya sat down hard on her bed. "I don't understand." "I was drowning, Maya. Depression, anxiety, panic attacks so bad I couldn't leave the apartment. Carlos tried to help me, but I felt like I was pulling him down with me. So one night, I packed a bag and disappeared. I've been living in Toronto, working in a restaurant, trying to figure out how to come back to life." "Elena, Carlos thinks you're dead. He's been grieving for 6 months." I know, and it's been killing me. But Maya, I couldn't face the idea of him watching me fall apart completely. I thought he'd be better off thinking I was gone than seeing me as the mess I'd become. Maya tried to process what she was hearing. "Elena, how did you get my number? How do you even know who I am?" 3 days ago, I was working late at the restaurant in Toronto. It was a horrible shift. I was exhausted, and I was sitting in the alley behind the building during my break, crying, just completely breaking down, and I found a note tucked under my windshield wiper. Maya's breath caught. It said, "You matter, even if no one says it." Those exact words, Maya, the same words that saved Patricia Williams, the same words that started this whole movement. Someone in Toronto is leaving notes? Her name is Jennifer. She moved to Toronto from Calgary 2 months ago. She'd been part of your network there, leaving notes around the Beltline district. When she moved, she brought the practice with her. Maya felt goosebumps rise on her arms. The ripples had spread beyond Calgary, beyond Alberta, across the country. "Maya, what happened when you found the note?" "I called the number that was written on the back." "There was a number?" Jennifer had started adding her phone number to some notes for people who needed to talk immediately. When I called her, crying and confused, she told me about the network, about you, about how one 17-year-old girl in Calgary had started a movement that was now helping people across Canada. Elena's voice grew stronger. "Maya, Jennifer told me that the original note, the very first one you ever wrote, was left for a woman who was about to give up completely. She said that woman, Patricia, had saved 15 other people with the same message. One of those 15 people was a man named James, who got a job and moved to Toronto, where he met Jennifer and told her about the notes." Maya was crying now, overwhelmed by the intricate web of connections. It's like a giant circle. It is a circle, and Maya, when Jennifer told me your story, when she told me about a teenage girl who saw invisible people and decided to do something about it, I realized something. I've been invisible, not just to the world, but to myself. I disappeared because I thought I didn't matter. You matter, Elena. You matter so much. Carlos has been... I know. And Jennifer helped me understand that running away wasn't protecting Carlos, it was destroying him. And it was destroying me too. Elena paused, and Maya could hear her taking a shaky breath. "Maya, I called you because I'm coming home. Tomorrow, I'm driving back to Calgary, and I'm going to knock on my husband's door and try to explain 6 months of cowardice." "Elena, he never stopped loving you. He still sets your place at the dinner table every night." Elena sobbed. I know, and Jennifer told me that too. Apparently, your network keeps track of the people they help. Carlos has been receiving anonymous notes every week since I left. Elena's love lives in your heart. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Your wife would want you to find peace." Maya realized with amazement that she had written some of those notes herself, not knowing she was writing to the husband of a woman who was still alive. "Maya, need to ask you something, and please be honest. Do you think there's any chance he could forgive me?" Maya thought about Carlos Rodriguez, about the way he'd spoken about Elena, about the love that had survived even what he thought was death. "Elena, I think he's been waiting for you to come home every single day for 6 months. Will you be there tomorrow night? I know it's a lot to ask, but Jennifer said you were the person who started all of this. You're the reason I found the courage to come back. I'd like to meet you." Maya wiped her tears. "Of course. What time?" 6 p.m. at our apartment. "Maya, there's something else. Jennifer wants to video call with you and Dr. Kim tomorrow morning. She says there are networks starting in Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal now, all because of what you started." After Elena hung up, Maya sat in her room for a long time, staring at her notebook. She turned to a fresh page and wrote, "November 15th. Today I learned that love doesn't die, even when we think it does. Tomorrow, I'm going to watch a miracle happen." The next morning, Maya's video call with Jennifer in Toronto lasted 2 hours. Jennifer was a social worker in her 20s who'd been part of Patricia's network before moving east. "Maya, we have 43 people leaving notes in Toronto now. The network in Vancouver has 31 people. Montreal just started last week with 12 people." Dr. Kim, joining from her office, pulled up a map on her computer. "Maya, we're tracking networks in 7 Canadian cities now. Over 300 people are leaving notes. We estimate we have directly helped over 2,000 people in the past 6 months." Maya stared at the screen, trying to comprehend the numbers. 2,000 people? "And those are just the ones we know about," Jennifer added. "People share the notes, talk about them, pass the messages along. The actual number is probably much higher." "There's something else," Dr. Kim said. "I've been contacted by researchers in Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco. They want to start networks there too." Maya felt dizzy. This is getting so big. "Yes, it is. Maya, are you ready for that?" Before Maya could answer, her phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. "Just got a call from a reporter at the Calgary Herald. Someone told them about the Note Network. They want to do a story." Maya looked at the message, then at her notebook filled with hundreds of personal stories. "Dr. Kim, Jennifer, can I call you back? There's something I need to do first." That afternoon, Maya sat in Patricia's apartment with Patricia, Carlos Rodriguez, and 3 other core members of the original network. They'd become a family of sorts, bonded by their shared mission. "A newspaper story changes everything," Maya said. "Once it's public, we can't go back to being small and anonymous." "Do you want to go back?" asked Patricia. Maya thought about Elena, driving across the prairies right now, coming home because a note in Toronto had given her courage. She thought about the 2,000 people who'd been helped and the thousands more who might need help tomorrow. "No," she said finally. "I don't want to go back, but I want to make sure we don't lose what made this work in the first place." "Which is what?" asked Carlos. "The fact that it comes from the heart, that it's real people helping real people, that it's not a program or a charity or a business, it's just neighbors caring about neighbors." At 5:30 p.m., Maya stood outside Carlos and Elena's apartment building, more nervous than she had ever been. Patricia stood beside her, along with Dr. Kim and 2 other network members. "What if this doesn't work?" Maya whispered. "Then we'll help them both through that too. That's what we do." At exactly 6 p.m., Maya watched Elena Rodriguez walk slowly down the hallway toward apartment 8A. Elena was smaller than Maya had imagined, fragile looking, but there was determination in her step. Elena knocked on the door. The seconds stretched like hours. Then the door opened, and Carlos Rodriguez saw his wife for the first time in 6 months. Maya had witnessed many moments of hope in her delivery rounds, but nothing had prepared her for this. Carlos didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He simply opened his arms, and Elena fell into them, both of them crying so hard they could barely stand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." "You're home. You're home," Carlos replied. Maya and the others watched from a respectful distance as a love that had survived the worst kind of separation found its way back together. Later, after Elena and Carlos had gone inside to begin the long process of healing, Patricia turned to Maya. "Are you ready for tomorrow, for the newspaper story and everything that comes after?" Maya looked around at the people who'd become her chosen family, at the building full of lives they'd touched, at the city that had embraced their quiet revolution. "Yes," she said, "I'm ready to tell the world that everyone matters, even when no one says it."
The Calgary Herald story ran on a Wednesday morning with the headline, "The Teenage Girl Who Started a Kindness Revolution." Maya's photo was on the front page, not posed or professional, just a candid shot of her slipping a note under someone's door during one of her delivery routes. Maya's phone started ringing at 6 a.m. The first call was from her principal at Western Canada High School. "Maya, I had no idea you were behind this. The whole school is talking about it. We're proud of you." The second call was from Fresh Bites. "Maya, corporate wants to talk to you. They're interested in making this part of our company culture." By noon, Maya had received calls from CBC Radio, CTV News, 3 documentary filmmakers, and a literary agent who wanted to help her write a book. But the call that mattered most came at 2 p.m. "Maya, this is Evelyn Martinez." Maya's heart jumped. Evelyn, the woman who'd received the very first note, who'd started the chain that led to Patricia and Elena and thousands of others. "Evelyn, how are you?" "I'm good, Maya. Really good. I saw the newspaper article this morning and I realized I never properly thanked you." "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do. Maya, that first note you left me, I was planning to end my life that night. I had everything prepared. But when I found your card, I thought, someone out there believes I matter. Maybe I should wait one more day to see if they're right." Maya felt tears start to flow. This was the second person who told her she'd prevented their suicide with a simple note. "Evelyn, you've helped so many people since then." "Because you helped me first. Maya, I want you to know something. I'm not Evelyn Martinez anymore." Maya's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "I got married 2 months ago to a man I met at the volunteer center where I started working after receiving your notes. His name is Nathan, and Maya, he was one of the people I left a note for. We fell in love while helping other people." Maya started laughing through her tears. "Evelyn, that's incredible. I'm Evelyn Patterson now. And Maya, Nathan and I want to ask you something. We're planning to open a community center focused on mental health and peer support. We want to base it on the Note Network model. Would you consider being our first program advisor?" Before Maya could answer, she heard a knock at her door. Her mother peeked in. "Maya, honey, there are about 20 people in our living room. They say they're from your Note Network and they want to celebrate with you." Maya could hear voices and laughter from the other room. "Evelyn, I have to go, but yes, I'd love to help with your community center." Maya walked into her living room to find it filled with people whose lives had intersected through the network. Patricia was there, of course, along with Carlos and Elena Rodriguez, holding hands like newlyweds. Dr. Kim had brought cake. Emma Johnson was there with her mother, whom Maya was meeting for the first time. "Maya, I want to thank you for looking out for my daughter and for the note you left me about single mothers being superheroes. I kept it on my bathroom mirror. It got me through some very hard days." Mr. Peterson from apartment 3A was there, the elderly man who never spoke but always smiled when he saw Maya. "I've been saving every note you left me," he said quietly. "I have 17 of them.
They're the reason I started volunteering at the senior center. The doorbell rang again. Maya opened it to find Jennifer, the social worker from Toronto. Jennifer, what are you doing here? I drove all night. I had to meet the person who changed my life and the lives of everyone I'm helping in Toronto. As more people arrived, Maya realized she was looking at a living map of the network she'd accidentally created. There was Ahmad, the engineering student who'd found the note in his library book, Maria, the immigrant who'd found courage after the note on her windshield, James, who'd gotten the job and moved to Toronto. And then someone Maya didn't recognize approached her. A teenage boy, probably her age, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. Maya, I'm Marcus. I was one of the people who received your notes about 8 months ago. Maya tried to place him but couldn't. I'm sorry, I don't remember. You wouldn't. You left it at a bus stop downtown. I was sitting there at 2 a.m., and I'd been sitting there for hours, trying to work up the courage to step in front of the next bus. The room went quiet. But when the bus came, there was this piece of paper on the bench beside me that wasn't there before. It said, "Tomorrow needs you, even if today doesn't feel like it." I kept that note in my wallet every day since then. Marcus pulled out his wallet and showed Maya a worn, folded piece of paper. Maya, I'm starting university next month. I'm going to study social work because of what you taught me, that small acts of kindness can save lives. Maya looked around the room at all these faces, all these stories, all these lives that somehow connected through simple words written on small pieces of paper. I need to say something, Maya announced, and the room quieted. 8 months ago, I was just a delivery girl with a notebook, trying to understand the people I met every day. I started leaving notes because I saw sadness and wanted to help. I never imagined it would become this. She gestured around the room. But looking at all of you now, I realized something. I didn't create this network. You did. Each of you took one small act of kindness and multiplied it. You turned one note into thousands of notes, one life saved into thousands of lives touched. Maya pulled out her original blue notebook, now thick and worn. This notebook started with observations about strangers. Now it's full of stories about friends. And that's what we are now. Not a program or a movement or a charity. We're friends who believe everyone matters. Patricia stood up. Maya, we have something for you. She handed Maya a package wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a new notebook, but this one was different. The cover read, "The Kindness Network, Official Record Keeper, Maya Christopher, Founder." We all contributed stories to get you started. But Maya, this isn't just about keeping records anymore. This is about training new volunteers, expanding to new cities, and making sure this network lasts long after you graduate from high school. Dr. Kim stepped forward. Maya, I've been contacted by the University of Calgary. They want to offer you early admission and a full scholarship to study psychology. They want you to research the science behind what you've created. Maya felt overwhelmed by the possibilities opening before her. What about my delivery route? What about the people I see every day? Carlos Rodriguez smiled. Maya, you'll always be a delivery girl. You'll just be delivering hope instead of food. That night, after everyone had gone home, Maya sat in her room with both notebooks, her old one and her new one. She opened the new notebook to the first page and wrote, November 18th. Today I learned that the best things in life start small and grow bigger than you ever imagined. 6 months ago, I thought one person couldn't make a difference. Tonight I know one person plus one person plus one person can change the world. She paused, then added, Tomorrow I start university applications. In 5 years, I want to have a PhD in psychology and kindness networks in every major city in North America. In 10 years, I want You Matter to be something every person hears when they need it most. Maya looked out her bedroom window at the lights of Calgary, at the thousands of apartments and houses where people were going to sleep tonight feeling a little less alone because someone, somewhere, had told them they mattered. She smiled and wrote one final note for the day. The girl who started as a delivery driver learned the most important delivery of all: hope. And unlike food, hope never gets cold, never spoils, and always tastes better when shared. Maya closed the notebook and got ready for bed, knowing that tomorrow would bring new deliveries, new opportunities, and new lives to touch. The network would keep growing, the ripples would keep spreading, and somewhere in the city, someone would find a note that reminded them they weren't invisible after all. Because everyone matters, even if no one says it. But now, thanks to Maya Christopher and the thousands of people she'd inspired, someone always would.
Dr. Maya Christopher adjusted her PhD cap and looked out at the graduation ceremony audience. In the fifth row, she spotted Patricia Williams, now the director of the Calgary Kindness Network. Beside her sat Carlos and Elena Rodriguez, whose marriage had become stronger after being rebuilt on a foundation of forgiveness and second chances. Maya's doctoral thesis, The Psychology of Anonymous Kindness: How Small Acts Create Large-Scale Social Change, had been accepted by 3 major psychology journals. But the research was secondary to the real-world impact. The Kindness Network now operated in 47 cities across North America. Over 10,000 trained volunteers left notes, made connections, and saved lives every single day. The University of Calgary had established the Maya Christopher Center for Community Psychology, where students learn to recognize invisible suffering and respond with invisible kindness. After the ceremony, Maya walked across campus to her old delivery route downtown. Some things had changed: new buildings, new restaurants, new faces, but the need remained the same. She stopped at Riverside Towers, where it all began, and took the elevator to the 15th floor. The building management had installed an official kindness board on every floor where residents could leave anonymous, encouraging messages for their neighbors. Maya knocked on the door of 15C. Evelyn Patterson opened it, now 5 months pregnant and glowing with happiness. "Maya, how did the graduation go?" "Perfect. And how's the community center?" "We're opening 3 new locations next month." "Maya, we've helped over 500 people get connected to mental health resources in the past year alone." Evelyn handed Maya a card. "This came for you yesterday. No return address." Maya opened it. Inside was a simple note that said, "5 years ago, you left me a note that said I mattered. Today, I left my first note for someone else. The circle continues. Thank you for teaching me that being invisible isn't the same as being worthless. A friend in Vancouver." Maya smiled. Even now, years later, the ripples were still spreading. That evening, Maya stood in the same spot where she'd written her first anonymous note. She pulled out a small card and wrote, "Your story isn't over yet. The next chapter might be the best one." She slipped it under a door, just like she'd done thousands of times before. Because Maya Christopher had learned something that changed not just her life, but the lives of everyone she touched. The most powerful force in the world isn't money or fame or success. It's one person telling another person, in the moment they need it most, that they matter. And in a world full of invisible people carrying invisible pain, that simple message would never go out of style.
Maya walked home through the streets of Calgary, past windows where people were living their own stories of struggle and hope, knowing that tomorrow someone would find a note that reminded them they weren't alone. The delivery girl had become a doctor, the observer had become a leader, and the anonymous note writer had become a movement. But most importantly, the girl who had learned to see invisible people had taught thousands of others to see them too. And that, Maya thought, as she unlocked her apartment door, was the best delivery she'd ever made.